Welcome back. In this video tutorial, we would be studying how to place precise dimensioning in AutoCAD 2027. But before we start with the training, I would urge you to open the file annotation.dwg, which I have already provided to you in the resources section of this video. Well, now that the file is open, let's begin with the training. We have a conference room present over here, and in the center of the conference room we have this table. Now supposing we would like to dimension this particular table and take a print of it. So let me show you how we are going to dimension it. At the bottom of the screen here you will see there is one option which is called as annotation scale of the current view. Click on the flyout next to that and ensure that it is 1:1. Remember, this entire drawing is drawn in 1:1 scale. Now, the next thing which you have to do is, in the layers properties box, ensure that the dim layer is selected, the one with the yellow color, and it should be the current layer, so there should be a tick mark next to it. If there is no tick mark, then click on this button over here which stands for set current. I'll close the layer properties manager. The second thing which you are going to do is you are going to click on the flyout in this annotation panel, and from the dimension style ensure that the training ammo is selected. So training ammo is the style which we had created in the earlier session, so that should be the active style. So dim should be the current layer and the dimension style should be training ammo. Now we are ready to go ahead with the dimensioning. So for doing the horizontal dimensioning or the linear dimensioning, you are going to click on the Home tab, Annotation panel. Over here you have a flyout which stands for Linear Dimensioning. So we click on this tab. So AutoCAD is asking me to specify the first extension line origin. I click over here and then it is asking me for the second extension line origin. I click over here. Then I bring my mouse on the top to specify the location of my dimension line and click over there to confirm it. Now you can see the dimension has come, but the text is come very tiny. I have to zoom it to something like 10x magnification to see the dimension. So let's make some changes in the dimension style. So we'll click on this dimension, then we click on the annotation tab and we click on the dimension style. In dimension style we select training anno and then click on modify. In modify we change the text height to 1/15 inches. We change the symbol and arrow size to 1/15 inch or 0.015. Rest everything remains the same, and then we click on OK, and again we click on close. Now here you can see the size of the text is still remaining tiny, as well as the arrowhead size is also tiny. So the next thing which we are going to do is we are going to click on the dimension line and press Ctrl 1 for bringing the properties manager. So now here you have the properties manager and it is telling you what you have selected. So I have selected my dimension style as training anno. It is an annotative style. The scale selected is 1:1 and the color of the layer is a bright yellow. And we come down and you can see the arrow size over here, which is 1:16. So let's change this to something like 1 inch. Press enter. So here it has changed that size of the arrowhead. Let's increase it further and make it 3 inch. And you can see the arrow size is increased now. Same way we'll increase the text size also. So here you have the text height. I make it to 3 inch and hit enter. So the text is also now visible. Now I'll close the properties panel and I'll press escape to see our dimensions. So here it is showing me that this is 10 feet wide. Now supposing I want to see a preview of this printout or of this table, how it would look while printing. So in the lower left corner you have the layout 1. I'll click on layout 1 and over here you can see that there is one viewport. If I hover the mouse on that viewport, it is showing me that it is set to a standard scale of 1:50. And because of that, the dimensions are not visible. So we are going to do two things. First, we'll click on the viewport and change the viewport to 1:1. Why we have changed it to 1:1? Because in the model workspace, we created this drawing at 1:1 scale. Hence, while printing, we wanted to print at 1:1 scale. But you can see at 1:1 scale, the entire drawing cannot be accommodated on a small paper. So this is a A4 size paper, that is 8.5 by 11 inches. Hence the entire drawing cannot be accommodated this. So what we'll do, we'll scale down this drawing. So we go into the model tab and we scale down this drawing to 1:50 scale. Then we come into the layout. Again we click on the viewport like this and we change the scale factor to 1:50. You can see now the table is visible at this scale, but the dimensions are still not visible. So let us see why. So first, see, the yellow color is not visible on this white background. So let's first just change the color of the dimension layer to bright red. So I'll click on the model tab and change the color of this dimension layer to a bright red and then click on OK. Now when you come to layout, you can see the color of the border of the viewport is red, but the dimension is still not visible at the scale of 1:50. So let us explore why. So we come to the model, we click on the dimension and we press Ctrl 1 to invoke the properties. Now here you can see the annotative scale is still 1:1. So we click over here and click on this dialog box over here and add a new scale of 1:50 and click on OK and make that as the active scale. And here it is telling you 1 paper unit equals to 50 drawing units. Then I will click on OK. Now you can see the moment I have changed the scale to 1:50, automatically the dimension size has increased. And if we go into the layout 1, you can see the dimensions are now visible, because this is also at 1:50 scale, and this is also at 1:50 scale. Just what we have to do is we have to reduce the size of the arrowheads and the size of the text. So we go on this arrowhead size and we change it to 1/15 inch and hit enter. So the size of the arrowheads, you can see, has got reduced, and we scroll down and the text size is there, that also we change to 1/15 inches and hit enter. Now let's go into layout and see. So you can see that now the dimensions are visible. I'll close the properties, again come to model tab and then zoom out a bit, and let's do horizontal dimensioning as well. So again I select linear dimensioning, I click here and I click here, and I get this distance as 5 feet. Again I go into layout 1, and here also you can see the dimensions are visible. Now I also want the radius, so again I click on the model tab, and on this flyout I select radius, and then I click over here and I give the radius, and again I come on layout 1 and the radius is also visible. If you would like to make these dimensions still bigger and the arrowheads still bigger, come back to the model size and click on any one dimension, press Ctrl 1 to invoke the properties panel, and there you have the arrow size. So it is 1/16 inch, we'll make it to 1/8 inch and see, and same way we'll go to the text height, and the text height also we'll change it to 1/8 inch and hit enter, and then close the properties panel, click on layout view, and you can see this is changed. Come back to model, ensure that you select all the other dimensions, and again press properties and change the arrowhead size to 1/8 inches, hit enter, and come down and change the text height to 1/8 inches, hit enter, close the properties panel, press escape. The dimensions are now visible, and you can click on layout and the dimensions are now very clearly visible, as well as when you print them, that time also it would be visible. If you want to accommodate more of the drawing on this paper, then again you have to change the scale. So again you can click on model and change the scale to something like 1:100. Again come to layout and click on the viewport and change the scale to 1:100, and this will accommodate more of the drawing. But you can see the moment it has changed the scaling to 1:100, the dimensions are not visible, and that's because it is annotative. It will be visible only at the scale for which it was set. So if we want the dimensions to be visible at 1:100 scale, come back to model and select your dimensions and press Ctrl 1, and After pressing the control 1 to invoke the properties, we come down and we have this annotative scale. So here you click on this flyout and add one scale, 1 is to 100, and click on OK and make that as the active scale and click on OK. So all are set to 1 is to 100. And let's reduce the text size and the arrowhead size. So arrowhead size we reduce it to 1 by 16 inch, and the text height also we reduce it to 1 by 16 inch. Hit enter. Now we go into the layout one, and you can see your dimensions are now visible even at 1 is to 100 scale. Now you are able to see more of the drawing, as well as the dimensions would be visible even when you print this particular drawing. So I would urge you to click on the model tab and do the dimensioning for some other options in this particular drawing. You can maybe do the dimensioning for this table over here, or you can do the dimensioning for this printer over here, or you can do the dimensioning for this pantry area, and then go into the layout and see how your result looks like. We'll see you again in the next lecture.